"Can I sleep with them?" asks the girl to the rich man without imagining that he... The rain beat hard on the roof of the small house when Lily Parker, just 6 years old, decided she couldn't sleep another night with the sound of thunder. Her grandmother Margaret was fast asleep in the next room, tired after another day of work as a seamstress. That's when Lily heard the soft barking coming from the yard of the neighboring mansion. Curious and frightened by the thunder, she slipped on her little sandals and went out the back door. The rain had just stopped, but the sky was still heavy with dark clouds. As she approached the fence that separated the two properties, she saw something that caught her attention. "Buddy Daisy, are you all right in there?" asked a soft male voice. Lily stretched her neck to get a better look. On the other side of the low fence, an elegant man was crouched in front of a well-built wooden doghouse where 2 dogs were taking shelter. He wore a blue suit, even though it was late afternoon, and his dark hair was slightly damp from the rain that had just passed. The girl hesitated for a moment, but the thunder echoed in the sky again, making her jump slightly in fright. "Excuse me, sir," she said in her small voice, holding tightly to the wooden fence. The man turned, and his brown eyes met hers. For a moment he stood completely still, as if he had seen a ghost. Lily noticed he had a strange expression, almost of surprise, but she didn't understand why. "Hi, little one," he replied, trying to hide the tremor in his voice. "Do you live next door?" "Yes, I do. My name is Lily, and the thunder scares me a lot," she explained, pointing to the sky that was still rumbling softly. "Can I sleep with them?" she asked, looking at the 2 dogs who had already come out of the doghouse and were wagging their tails. Michael Brooks felt his heart race in a way he couldn't explain. The girl had the same green eyes as his late wife, the same wavy blonde hair, the same shy way of tilting her head when asking a question. But that was impossible. His daughter had disappeared 6 years ago, when she was just a few months old. "What did you say your name was?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Lily Wilson. I live with Grandma Margaret. She said my mother traveled far away when I was a baby," the girl said, petting the fur of the older dog that had approached the fence. "And you? What's your name?" "Michael," he replied, still trying to process what was happening. Wilson was his wife's maiden name, Emily. "And about sleeping with the dogs? Well, I think they'd like the company. But I don't know if your grandmother would approve." Lily made a mischievous expression. "Grandma sleeps very soundly when she's tired, and today she sewed a lot. Besides, I'm afraid of thunder, and the little dogs make me feel safer." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Michael looked at the doghouse, then at the girl, and made a decision that would change everything. "All right, but just for tonight, and if it starts to rain very hard, you go back home, agreed?" Lily's eyes shone with joy. "Agreed. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael." She slipped under the fence with the agility only a child has, and soon was sitting in the doghouse between Buddy, an elderly golden Labrador, and Daisy, a young German Shepherd mix. The 2 dogs seemed to instinctively understand that they needed to protect that child, positioning themselves on either side of her. Michael watched the scene with a heavy heart. The resemblance was undeniable, but how could he be sure? His mother-in-law, Margaret, had cut off all contact with him after Emily's departure. He had searched for years, hiring private detectives, scouring the entire country, but he had never imagined his daughter could be so close. "Mr. Michael," said Lily, interrupting his thoughts, "do you live alone in this big house?" "Yes, I do," he replied, sitting in a garden chair near the little house. "And you? Do you live just with your grandmother?" "Yes. Grandma says my mother had to travel to take care of some important things when I was little. She said she'll come back one day," Lily told him, petting Buddy. "But sometimes I get sad because I don't remember her face." Michael's heart broke. Emily had left after a terrible argument, swayed by Margaret's manipulations, who had always been against the marriage. She had said she would think about their relationship, but she never returned. And all this time, Margaret had raised her granddaughter alone, making her believe her mother had simply gone away on a trip. "Lily," he said carefully, Has your grandmother ever told you your father's name? The girl stopped petting Daisy and looked at him curiously. She only said he was a very important man, but that he couldn't take care of me. Why are you asking that? Michael felt a lump in his throat. Margaret had painted a picture where he was the villain of the story, where he didn't want to take responsibility for his daughter. The truth was exactly the opposite. He had begged Emily to stay. He had promised they would make it work. But the pressure from her family was stronger than the love they felt for each other. Just curious, he lied. And how is it being raised by your grandmother? Does she take good care of you? Grandma is very good to me, but she works a lot. She makes clothes for people in the neighborhood, and sometimes she stays up late sewing, Lily explained, yawning. She said when I grow up I'll be able to go to a good school and become an important person too. And what do you want to be when you grow up? A veterinarian, she replied without hesitation. I want to take care of all the abandoned animals in the world. Grandma said it's a very expensive dream, but I'll make it happen. Michael smiled for the first time in a long time. Emily had always dreamed of being a veterinarian too, but the pregnancy and family pressures made her drop out of college. It's a beautiful dream, Lily, and I'm sure you'll make it happen. The girl smiled and snuggled closer between the two dogs. The thunder continued, but now it seemed distant and harmless. Mr. Michael, can I ask you something? Of course. Why do you seem sad? Is it because you live alone? The question hit Michael like a punch in the stomach. How could a 6-year-old see so clearly something he tried to hide from everyone? Sometimes we just get sad, little one. It's part of being an adult. Grandma gets sad sometimes too, especially when she looks at some old photos she keeps in a little box, Lily shared. She thinks I don't see, but I do. There's a very pretty lady in the pictures who looks like me. Michael's heart raced. Do you know who that lady is? Grandma said it's my mother when she was young. She was very pretty, wasn't she? Lily said with pride in her voice. Yes, she was, whispered Michael, feeling tears begin to form in his eyes. The minutes passed in silence, with only the sound of the dogs breathing and the thunder growing more distant. Lily was almost asleep when they heard Margaret's voice shouting from the other side of the fence. Lily! Lily, where are you, girl? The child stood up quickly, but Michael gently held her arm. Easy. I'll talk to her, he said, standing up. Good evening, Mrs. Margaret, Michael greeted, approaching the fence. On the other side, a woman around 60 years old with greying hair tied in a bun and simple clothes stopped abruptly upon seeing him. Her face, already worried, grew visibly paler. Michael, she whispered, as if seeing a ghost. Hello, Margaret. It's been a while, he replied, trying to keep his tone neutral. What are you doing here? And where is my granddaughter? She asked with a trembling voice, but trying to sound firm. Lily is here with me. She got scared of the thunder and asked to stay with the dogs, explained Michael. Margaret looked toward the little house and saw Lily sleeping peacefully between Buddy and Daisy, completely safe and calm. Lily, come here right now, ordered the grandmother. The girl woke up startled and looked confused between Michael and Margaret. But Grandma, I was sleeping so well. Come here now, Lily. Michael saw the fear in the child's eyes and decided to intervene. Margaret, can we talk? Lily is safe and I think we have a lot to clarify. I have nothing to talk to you about, she replied curtly. Lily, come here immediately. The girl looked at Michael with sadness. Can I come back tomorrow to see the puppies? Before Michael could respond, Margaret was categorical. No, you cannot. And I don't want you near this house anymore, do you understand? But Grandma, no discussion, Lily. The child reluctantly obeyed, passing under the fence with her head down. Michael watched as Margaret took her by the hand back home and could hear Lily asking, Why can't I play with the puppies, Grandma? Mr. Michael is very kind. Because I said you can't, and that's final, replied Margaret, closing the house door harder than necessary. Michael was left alone in the backyard with 1,000 questions in his head and one certainty growing in his heart. That was his daughter. He didn't know how, but he was absolutely sure of it. That night none of the three slept well. Lily kept thinking about the dogs and the kind man who had let her stay with them. Margaret tossed and turned in bed, remembering all the reasons she had kept Michael away from her granddaughter's life. And Michael spent the night planning how he could prove that Lily was his daughter, without causing more trauma for the child. The next day, Lily woke up eager to go to school, but she couldn't get the events of the previous night out of her head. During recess, she told her best friend Emma about the dogs and the kind man. "Wow, Lily, that's so cool. And you really slept with the dogs?" asked Emma, impressed. "I did. They're so cute and made me feel safe, but Grandma got mad and won't let me go back there." "I wonder why she got mad." "I don't know. She made a really strange face when she saw Mr. Michael, like she knew him from somewhere." Meanwhile, Michael spent the morning restless at his construction company office. He had built an empire in recent years, but none of it mattered if he couldn't have his family back. He decided he needed to act, but carefully. He called his lawyer, Dr. Robert Miller, a trusted man who had known him for over 10 years. "Robert, I need a DNA test done discreetly," said Michael, after explaining the situation. "Michael, are you sure she's your daughter?" "It could just be casual similarities," pondered the lawyer. "They're not casual, Robert. I know it's her. But I need proof before making any legal moves." "All right. I'll find a discreet way to get a sample from the child. But Michael, if she really is your daughter, you need to be prepared for a tough legal battle. Margaret has raised her for 6 years, and any judge will take that into consideration." "I don't want to take Lily away from Margaret," Michael clarified. "I just want the right to be part of my daughter's life. I want her to know who I am. And Margaret, do you think she'll accept this?" Michael sighed. "Margaret has hated me since the day I met Emily. She always thought I wasn't good enough for her daughter. When Emily passed away, Margaret blamed me for everything." "And you? Did you ever try to get in touch?" "I tried for years, Robert. I sent letters, called, even showed up in person a few times. But Margaret moved and cut off all contact. I only found out she lived next door when I bought this house 3 months ago." "And you didn't know Lily was here?" "I had no idea. Margaret has always been very discreet, and our neighborhood is quite private. It was pure coincidence that Lily showed up yesterday." Dr. Robert Miller was thoughtful for a moment. "Michael, I'll be direct with you. If this girl is really your daughter, you have legal rights, but you also have responsibilities. Are you prepared for that?" "I've been prepared for 6 years, Robert. Since the day Emily left taking my daughter." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. That afternoon, Lily came home from school with one fixed idea: to see Mr. Michael's dogs again. Margaret was busy with her sewing, focused on finishing a dress for an important client. Lily took advantage of her grandmother being distracted and went out through the back of the house, approaching the fence again. This time, Michael was by the pool area working on his laptop when he heard the little girl's voice. "Mr. Michael, are you there?" He looked up and saw her on the other side of the fence, still wearing her school backpack with a hopeful expression on her face. "Hi, Lily. How was school today?" "It was good. I learned about animals from the Everglades. Did you know there's a pink dolphin there?" she said excitedly, moving closer to the fence. "Yes, I did know. It's a very special animal," Michael replied, closing his laptop and walking over to her. "And how is your grandmother?" "She's sewing. She gets very focused when she's sewing," Lily explained. "Mr. Michael, why doesn't Grandma like you?" The direct question caught Michael off guard. "Why do you think she doesn't like me? Yesterday she looked angry when she saw you, and she never looks angry with me, only when I do something wrong," observed Lily with the insight of an attentive child. Michael took a deep breath. How to explain such a complex situation to a 6-year-old? "Sometimes adults have problems between them, Lily. Things that happened a long time ago that are hard to resolve. Like when I fight with Emma at school, but then we make up. Something like that. Only sometimes it takes adults longer to make up." Lily thought for a moment, then smiled. "So you just need to talk properly and apologize to each other. If only it were that simple," thought Michael. "And the puppies? Can I say hi to them?" asked Lily, changing the subject with the ease typical of children. "Of course you can." Buddy and Daisy came running as soon as they heard Lily's voice, wagging their tails and licking her hands through the fence. "They like me," she said, beaming. "Mr. Michael, are they your real children?" Michael smiled at the innocent question. "In a way, yes. I've been taking care of them for years. I adopted Buddy when he was a puppy, and Daisy showed up here 2 years ago, badly hurt. Someone had abandoned her on the street." "How sad," exclaimed Lily. "But it's so good that you took care of her. Now she's happy and has a family." "That's true. Everyone deserves to have a family," agreed Michael, looking directly at her. "Do you have a family, Mr. Michael? Besides the dogs, I mean." "I did once. A very special wife and a daughter." "And where are they now?" Michael felt his throat tighten. "My wife is no longer here, and my daughter, well, it's been a long time since I've seen her." "Do you miss them?" "Very much, Lily, especially my daughter." "What was she like?" "Just a little thing when I last saw her. She had green eyes, blonde hair, and a beautiful smile," described Michael, watching Lily's reactions. "Just like me," she exclaimed, not realizing the importance of what she had said. "Yeah, just like you," whispered Michael. At that moment, they heard Margaret's voice calling from inside the house. "Lily! Lily, where are you?" "I need to go," said Lily quickly. "Can I come back tomorrow?" "You can come whenever you want, little one." Lily smiled and ran back home, but not before waving goodbye to the dogs. Michael stood still, watching her disappear through the back door of the neighboring house. With every conversation, every gesture, every word, he became more certain that Lily was his daughter. But how to prove it without traumatizing the child? That night, Margaret was strangely quiet during dinner. Lily, who was always a chatty child, noticed her grandmother's silence. "Grandma, are you okay?" "Yes, my dear granddaughter. Just thinking about some things." "What kind of things?" Margaret looked at Lily and saw so much of Emily in those green eyes that her heart ached. The girl was growing up and every day looked more like her mother. "Lily, tomorrow we're going to make a special visit." "Where to, Grandma?" "We're going to visit where your mother is resting." Lily stopped eating and looked at her grandmother with curiosity. Mommy is resting. Was she tired from the trip? Margaret swallowed hard. All these years, she had told Lily that her mother was traveling, because she couldn't explain to such a young child that Emily had died in a car accident 2 years before, when she was returning home after a fight with Michael. "Yes, my dear. She is resting in a very beautiful and peaceful place. And can we bring her flowers?" "Yes, we can." That night, after Lily fell asleep, Margaret spent hours looking at old photos of Emily. Her daughter had been a brilliant young woman, full of dreams and plans. She met Michael in college and they fell madly in love. But Margaret never approved of the relationship. Michael came from a wealthy family, and Margaret was sure he would marry Emily just for fun, abandoning her later. When Emily got pregnant, Margaret was desperate. She did everything to convince her daughter that Michael wouldn't take responsibility, that she would raise Lily alone while he lived his playboy life. The truth was that Michael had begged to marry Emily even before knowing about the pregnancy. He wanted to build a family. He wanted to be a good father. But Margaret planted so many doubts in her daughter's head that Emily ended up leaving on a rainy dawn, taking baby Lily with her. 3 days later, Margaret received the call that changed her life forever. Emily had crashed her car on a road in New York City. The police said she seemed confused, nervous, and probably lost control of the vehicle in the rain. Lily, who was in the back seat, came out without serious injuries. Margaret took her granddaughter and never spoke to Michael again. To her, he was to blame for Emily's departure and consequently for her loss. But now, seeing Michael living next door, seeing how Lily had naturally connected with him, Margaret began to question whether she had made the right decisions. The next day, while Lily was at school, Margaret went to the cemetery alone first. She needed to talk with Emily before taking Lily there for the first time. "My daughter, I don't know what to do anymore," she whispered, arranging the flowers on the grave. "Michael is living next door. Lily has already spoken with him, and I see so much of you in her." Did I make a mistake by keeping him away from you? The wind gently swayed the trees around as if Emily was answering. He seems different now, more mature. And Lily. Our Lily is growing up without a father, Emily. Doesn't she have the right to know him? Margaret stayed there for over an hour, talking with her daughter, asking for signs, for guidance. When she finally got up to leave, she had made a decision that would change everything. That afternoon, when Lily came back from school, Margaret was waiting for her with a serious expression. "Lily, I need to talk with you about something very important." "What is it, Grandma? Did I do something wrong?" "No, my dear granddaughter, you didn't do anything wrong. But there are some things about your family that I need to tell you." Lily sat on the sofa next to her grandmother with an attentive and slightly worried expression. "Is it about Mommy?" "It's about your Mommy and about your Daddy." Lily's eyes widened. "My Daddy? You said he couldn't take care of me. I said that because I was angry with him, Lily, but maybe I was unfair." "Unfair how?" Margaret took a deep breath. How to explain 6 years of questionable decisions to a child? "Your Daddy and your Mommy loved each other very much, but I thought he wouldn't be a good father to you. So when your Mommy was confused and sad, I said things that made her leave. And then she went on a trip." "Not exactly, my child. Your Mommy couldn't come back from the trip." Lily was silent for a moment, processing her grandmother's words. "Did she get lost?" "In a way, yes. She was lost forever." "But what about my Daddy? Why didn't he come to get me?" "Because I didn't let him. I was very angry with him and thought you would be better off with just me." Lily looked at her own little hands, thoughtful. "Grandma, Mr. Michael, who lives next door, does he have eyes like mine?" Margaret was startled by the question. "Why are you asking that? Yesterday he told me he had a little daughter with green eyes and blonde hair just like me, and today at school I kept thinking, could I be the daughter he lost?" Margaret felt tears begin to form in her eyes. How could a 6-year-old child be so perceptive? "Lily, yes, you are Michael's daughter." The silence that followed seemed to last an eternity. Lily kept looking at her grandmother, then at her own hands, trying to understand what that meant. "So Mr. Michael is my daddy?" "Yes, he is, my child." "And why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because I was afraid, Lily. Afraid that if you met your father, you wouldn't want to stay with me anymore." Lily got up from the sofa and hugged her grandmother tightly. "Grandma, I will always want to stay with you. You've taken care of me since I was a baby. But I also want to meet my daddy. What if he doesn't want to be a real father to you?" "But he already said he missed his daughter." "And if I am his daughter, then he misses me." Margaret hugged Lily tighter, feeling both relieved and terrified about what was to come. "Grandma, can I go talk to him now?" "Not now, Lily. First I need to talk with him, explain some things. Are you going to apologize for being unfair?" "Yes, my child, I am going to apologize." That night, after Lily fell asleep, Margaret stayed on the porch for a long time, looking at Michael's house. The lights were on, and she could see him sitting in the living room, probably working on his laptop. She knew she had to gather her courage and go there. But after 6 years of anger and resentment, how do you start a conversation that would change all their lives? On the other side, Michael also couldn't sleep. He had spent the day researching lawyers specializing in family law, trying to understand what his legal rights were. But he didn't want the situation to end up in court. He wanted to resolve everything as harmoniously as possible, always thinking of Lily's well-being. Around 10 at night, Michael heard the doorbell ring. When he opened the door, he found Margaret standing there with an expression that mixed determination and nervousness. "Margaret," he said, surprised. "Michael, we need to talk." "Of course. Please come in." They went to the living room, and Margaret looked around, noticing how the house was elegant yet cozy. There were photos of Emily in some places, and some of Lily as a baby that she didn't even know existed. "You kept photos of her," observed Margaret, pointing to a picture of Emily smiling. "I kept everything. Lily's little clothes, the toys, the photos. I always held on to hope that one day you would come back." Margaret felt her chest tighten. "Michael, I need to ask for your forgiveness. Margaret. No. Let me speak. All these years I blamed you for Emily leaving. I thought you weren't good enough for her, that you wouldn't take responsibility for Lily. And were you wrong? I was completely wrong. Emily told me before she left that you had proposed to her, that you wanted to take it all on, to be a present father. But I had already put so many doubts in her head. Michael closed his eyes for a moment. Why, Margaret? Why did you do that? Because I was afraid of losing my daughter. Her father abandoned us when she was 5, and I raised her alone. When she fell in love with you, I saw the same pattern repeating itself. A wealthy man from a traditional family getting involved with a simple girl like us. But I never showed that I thought that way. No, you didn't, but my fear was greater than reason, and in the end I lost my daughter anyway. What happened to Emily, Margaret? Margaret took a deep breath before answering. She crashed the car 3 days after leaving here. She was coming back, Michael. She was coming back home to you. Michael felt his world collapse. All these years he had imagined that Emily was somewhere in the country, living a new life, raising Lily away from him. He had never imagined that she couldn't make it back, he whispered. No. And I took Lily and never contacted you again. I blamed you for her leaving, even though I knew it was my fault. The two were silent for several minutes, each lost in their own memories and regrets. And Lily? Asked Michael finally. Does she know who I am? She found out today. She suspected it herself. She's a very smart girl. How did she react? Better than I expected. She wants to meet you, Michael. She wants to have a father. Michael felt the tears begin to roll down his face. And you? Will you let her? I have no right to stop it. Lily is your daughter, and you have the right to be part of her life. But Michael, she is all I have. She's all that's left of my Emily. I don't want to take her from you, Margaret. I want us to be a family, you, me, and Lily. I want her to grow up knowing her story, knowing who her mother was, and having the love of all of us. You would do that? Even after everything I did? Margaret, Lily needs both of us. She needs the grandmother who raised her with so much love, and she needs the father who always dreamed of meeting her. Margaret began to cry, releasing years of guilt and regret. I am so sorry, Michael. So sorry for everything you lost, for all those years you couldn't watch your daughter grow up. What matters is what we do from now on, said Michael, offering her a handkerchief. Lily is an incredible girl, and that's what counts. She really is. She's smart, brave, affectionate. She has a lot of Emily in her. And a lot of you too. I saw how she loves you, how she speaks of you so fondly. Margaret smiled through her tears. How are we going to do this, Michael? How are we going to explain everything to her? Together. We'll do everything together, always thinking about what's best for Lily. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out now continuing. The next day, Lily woke up anxious. Margaret had promised they would talk with Michael together, and she could barely pay attention in her classes at school. When she got home, she found her grandmother and Michael sitting in the living room having coffee. Hi, Dad, she said naturally, as if she had always called him that. Michael felt his heart stop for a second. Hi, my daughter, he replied, opening his arms. Lily ran to him and they shared a long, tight hug. It was as if 6 years of separation melted away in that moment. Dad, Grandma told me that Mommy isn't coming back from her trip, said Lily, pulling back a little to look into her father's eyes. It's true, little one. Mommy won't be able to come back. But she's always right here, said Michael, touching Lily's chest over her heart. And she would be so happy to know that we are together now. And are we going to live together now? Michael and Margaret looked at each other. What would you like to happen, Lily? Asked Margaret. I want us to be a family. Me, Grandma, Dad, Buddy, and Daisy. Michael laughed, wiping away tears. Then we'll be a family, my daughter. In the days that followed, the lives of the three changed completely. Lily spent her mornings at school, her afternoons with Michael learning about the dogs and his business, and her evenings with Margaret, helping with the sewing and listening to stories about Emily. Michael discovered that Lily had exceptional intelligence and an incredible ease with animals. He started taking her to the office sometimes, and Lily was fascinated watching the construction projects. "Dad, when I grow up, can I work with you?" she asked one day while playing with the dogs in the backyard. "Of course you can. But I thought you wanted to be a veterinarian." "I can be both. I can build hospitals for little animals." Michael smiled. His daughter had the same ambition and determination that Emily had. Margaret, in turn, was getting used to Michael's presence. She discovered he was very different from the man she had imagined all these years. He was thoughtful, respectful, and clearly loved Lily above all else. 1 month after the reconciliation, Michael proposed something that would change everything once again. "Margaret, I want to renovate the house so you and Lily can come live here with me." "Michael, I can't accept." "It's not charity, Margaret, it's family. Lily needs both of us, and honestly, I need you both too. But my work, my clients... You can keep sewing. We can set up a studio here in the house, and I can help you expand the business if you want." Margaret was thoughtful. The idea was tempting, but she was very proud. "And if it doesn't work out, what if we fight? Then we talk and work it out like adults, for Lily." Margaret looked at her granddaughter, who was playing with Buddy in the garden, and saw how radiant she had been since meeting her father. "All right, but I pay my share of the expenses." "Margaret, it's non-negotiable, Michael. If we're going to be a family, we are equals in this family." Michael smiled and extended his hand. Then it settled. The move happened 2 weeks later. Michael had renovated an entire wing of the house for Margaret, with a spacious bedroom, a private bathroom, and a fully equipped sewing studio. For Lily, he transformed what used to be his home office into a princess bedroom, with a veterinary theme and lots of stuffed animals. "Daddy, this is the most beautiful room in the world!" exclaimed Lily, spinning around in her new room. "Did you really like it, sweetie?" "Like it? I loved it. And the best part is that now I can see the dogs from the window." Margaret was also moved by her new space. "Michael, you didn't have to do all this." "Yes, I did. You both deserve the best. Thank you. For everything." The first few months of living together were an adjustment. Margaret was used to making all the decisions about Lily on her own, and sometimes she forgot to consult Michael. He, in turn, was eager to make up for lost time and sometimes overindulged his daughter. Lily, clever as she was, noticed the tensions and decided to intervene in her own way. "Grandma, Daddy, do you want to come to my room?" she asked one night after dinner. Curious, they both followed her. Lily had set up a kind of court in her room, with her sitting on the bed and 2 chairs in front. "What's this, Lily?" asked Michael, amused. "It's a family meeting. Sit down," she ordered, pointing to the chairs. Michael and Margaret looked at each other and obeyed. "Okay, now you're going to talk about the things that are bothering you, and I'll help you work it out. Lily, you don't have to..." "Yes, I do, Grandma. At school, when kids fight, the teacher makes them talk until they become friends again. You didn't fight, but sometimes you act a little strange with each other." Michael and Margaret looked at each other, surprised by the girl's maturity. "Grandma, tell Daddy what's bothering you." Margaret took a deep breath. "Sometimes I feel like you want to do everything too fast, Michael. Lily has been my granddaughter for 6 years, and your daughter for only a few months." "And Daddy, tell Grandma what's bothering you." "Sometimes I feel like you don't trust my decisions about Lily, Margaret, as if I were a stranger trying to interfere." Lily listened carefully and then clapped her hands. "There. Now you know what's bothering you. Grandma, Daddy doesn't want to do everything fast. He just misses me because of the 6 years. And Daddy, Grandma doesn't think you're a stranger. She's just afraid to share me because she loves me so much." The 2 adults were impressed by the child's insight. "Now you hug and promise to always talk when something is bothering you." Michael and Margaret stood up and hugged, laughing at the situation. "Your daughter is a genius," whispered Margaret to Michael. "Our daughter," he corrected. From that night on, the family dynamics improved significantly. They made a habit of having weekly family meetings, where everyone could talk about what they were feeling or thinking. Lily flourished in this environment. Her grades at school improved even more. She made new friends, and started participating in extracurricular activities. Michael enrolled her in swimming and horseback riding lessons, discovering she had a natural talent for both. Margaret also thrived. With her well-equipped studio and Michael's support, she began accepting more elaborate orders and even hired an assistant. Her sewing business grew so much that she was able to open a small boutique in the city centre. 6 months after the reconciliation, the family faced their first big challenge. Lily came home from school one day with a worried expression. "What happened, sweetie?" asked Michael, noticing his daughter's mood. "The teacher gave us an assignment about a family tree. I have to bring family photos and tell the story." Michael and Margaret exchanged glances, understanding Lily's concern. "And what's the problem, my dear?" "It's just, how am I going to explain that I only found out you're my father a few months ago? The other kids will think it's weird." Margaret approached Lily and hugged her. "Lily, our family might be different from others, but it's no less special because of that. But how do I explain about Mommy?" Michael joined the hug. "You tell them your Mommy was a very special person who loved us very much, and even though she's not here physically, she's always with us. And you say that sometimes families need time to find each other, but when they do, the love grows even stronger. What if they ask why you were separated? You say that sometimes adults make mistakes, but what's important is recognizing and fixing those mistakes," replied Margaret. Lily grew thoughtful for a moment. "Will you help me make the family tree?" "Of course we will," they both answered at once. The following evening, the three gathered around the living room table with photos, poster board, colored pens, and lots of creativity. Lily decided she wanted to make the prettiest family tree in the class. "Look, Daddy, I found a picture of you with Mommy," exclaimed Lily, holding a photo from Michael and Emily's wedding. "Wow, you both look so beautiful," she observed, studying the photo carefully. "Your mother was the most beautiful person I ever knew," said Michael with a nostalgic smile. "And you were very handsome too, Daddy." "You still are," Lily teased, making the adults laugh. As they glued the photos to the poster board, Lily asked questions about the family. "Grandma, do I have other grandparents?" "Yes, my dear, your father's parents. They live in New York City." Lily looked at Michael. "Why have I never met them?" Michael sighed. "Because they didn't know you existed, sweetheart. When your mother left, I didn't get the chance to tell them about you. And now? Can they know?" "If you want to meet them, of course they can." "I do. I want to meet all of my family." The following weekend, Michael called his parents, Barbara and William Brooks, who lived in New York City. The conversation was long and emotional. "Son, are you saying we have a 6-year-old granddaughter?" asked Barbara, disbelieving. "Yes, Mother, and she's wonderful, smart, affectionate, beautiful. She's a lot like Emily." "And why did you never tell us?" "Because I didn't know where they were. Emily left when Lily was a baby, and I only found my daughter again a few months ago." William, a more reserved man, was silent for a moment before speaking. "Michael, we want to meet our granddaughter. Can we come there next weekend?" "Of course, Dad. Lily is excited to meet you, too." When Michael told Lily and Margaret about the visit from her paternal grandparents, their reactions were different. Lily was thrilled. "I'm going to have even more grandparents. That's so great." Margaret grew nervous. "What if they don't like me? What if they think I didn't take good care of Lily?" "Margaret, stop worrying. My parents will love her, and they will love you too. They are good, simple people." "But they're rich, Michael. I'm just a seamstress." "So what? You raised an amazing girl all by yourself for 6 years. That's worth more than any fortune." The following Saturday, Barbara and William arrived from New York City. Barbara was an elegant 65-year-old lady, a retired former teacher. William was a 70-year-old retired engineer with a kindly face. When Lily opened the door and saw her grandparents for the first time, she was shy for only a few seconds. "Grandpa William, Grandma Barbara?" she asked with a timid smile. Barbara knelt down to Lily's level and hugged her with tears in her eyes. "My beautiful granddaughter, you look so much like your father when he was little." "Really?" asked Lily, excited. "Yes, really. Come here, I have pictures to show you." William, more reserved, approached and stroked his granddaughter's hair. "Hello, Lily. It's so nice to meet you." "Hi, Grandpa. You're so tall." "And you're so small," he joked, already melting for his granddaughter. Margaret was nervous at the back of the room, but Barbara soon called her. "You must be Margaret. Very nice to meet you. I'm Barbara." "The pleasure is mine, Mrs. Barbara. Please just call me Barbara. And let me thank you for taking such good care of our little granddaughter all these years." Margaret felt enormous relief. "She's an easy girl to love." "We noticed that," said William, watching Lily show her drawings to Barbara. The weekend was magical. Barbara and William were enchanted with Lily and also with Margaret. They discovered they had a lot in common. Barbara also enjoyed sewing, and William was passionate about gardening, just like Margaret. "Lily," said Barbara on Sunday before leaving, "would you like to spend the July holidays with us in New York City?" "Can I, Daddy? Grandma?" "Of course you can," replied Michael. "But only if Grandma Margaret comes along," added Lily. "Me?" asked Margaret, surprised. "Of course, I'm not going anywhere without Grandma Margaret, and you could teach her how to make that chocolate cake you brought." Barbara and William looked at each other and smiled. "It would be an honor to have you with us too, Margaret," said Barbara. "That way Lily won't miss home, and we'll have the chance to get to know the person who raised our granddaughter better," added William. Margaret accepted the invitation, and the July holidays became a milestone for the family. Lily had the opportunity to get to know New York City, visit museums, parks, and zoos with her paternal grandparents, always accompanied by Margaret. Barbara taught Margaret some of the Brooks family recipes, and Margaret taught Barbara some special sewing stitches. William and Margaret spent hours in the garden of the house in New York City, exchanging tips about plants and flowers. Lily, watching all these new bonds form, felt like the most loved child in the world. "Daddy," she said on the last day of the vacation, "I think our family is complete now." "Is that so, little one?" "Yes. Now I have you, Grandma Margaret, Grandma Barbara, Grandpa William, Buddy, and Daisy. It's a big family full of love." Michael hugged his daughter, feeling immense gratitude for all the paths that had led them to that moment. Back home, the family routine continued, but now enriched by the new relationships. Barbara and William visited the family at least once a month, and Margaret and Barbara became close friends, talking regularly on the phone. Lily continued to grow and develop exceptionally. By age 7, she could already read perfectly, spoke basic English, Michael had hired a private tutor, and showed a natural talent for drawing and painting. But Lily's greatest talent remained her ability to bring people together. She organized monthly family dinners where all the grandparents gathered. She created a family photo album that she constantly updated, and whenever she noticed any tension among the adults, she would intervene with her childlike wisdom. One day, almost a year after the reconciliation, Lily came home from school with an unusual proposal. "Daddy, Grandma, I have an idea." "What is it, little one?" asked Michael. "We could open a place where children who don't have a mom or dad can come to play with families who want to give them affection." Margaret and Michael looked at each other, once again impressed by their daughter's maturity. "Where did this idea come from, Lily?" "From school. There's a girl in my class who lives in an orphanage. She said what she misses most is having a family to talk and play with. So I thought, we have so much love to spare, we could share it." Michael smiled. His daughter had the same generous heart as Emily. "And how would this place work?" "We could make like a big house with a garden where children can come on weekends, and families who want to help can come play with them, teach things, give affection." "Lily, that's a beautiful idea," said Margaret, moved. "Can we do it, Daddy?" Michael thought for a moment. He had the resources and connections to make it a reality, and it would be a way to honor the memory of Emily, who always dreamed of helping children in need. "You know what? Let's do it." "Really?" shouted Lily, jumping for joy. "Really? We'll create an institution in your mother's name. Emily's Place. How about that?" Lily hugged her father tightly. "Mommy would be so happy, wouldn't she? She would be proud of you, my daughter. Very proud." The Emily's Place project took shape quickly. Michael bought a large plot of land on the outskirts of the city, and hired the best architects to design a welcoming and functional space. Margaret got involved in the decoration and planning of activities. Barbara contributed with her experience in education, and William helped with the landscaping. Lily, even though she was a child, participated in all the planning meetings, giving suggestions and opinions that always surprised the adults with their maturity and sensitivity. 6 months later, Emily's place was inaugurated. It was a beautiful space, with activity rooms, a library, a garden with a vegetable patch, a playground, and even a small kennel for therapy dogs. At the inauguration, Lily gave a speech that moved everyone present. "My name is Lily, and this house is in honor of my mommy, who is no longer here but who always wanted to help children. My family discovered that when we share love, it doesn't get smaller, it grows. So, we want to share our love with all the children who need affection. This house is for you to feel loved and important because you are." There were over 100 people present, City Hall employees, representatives from orphanages, families interested in volunteering, and the first children who would be served by the project. Margaret, who was in the audience, cried with emotion seeing her granddaughter speak with such confidence and love. "Michael," she whispered, "Emily would be so proud." "She is proud," he corrected. "Wherever she is watching our daughter and feeling proud of who she has become." Emily's place quickly became a success. Every weekend, dozens of children from orphanages and shelters in the region visited the place, where they were welcomed by volunteer families who offered affection, attention, and fun activities. Lily became the little ambassador of the project. She knew all the children by name, remembered their likes and dreams, and always made sure no one felt forgotten or helpless. The project also had a profound impact on the family. Michael discovered a professional fulfillment different from anything he had experienced in business. Margaret found a new life mission, teaching sewing to the older children. Barbara and William moved to the city to participate more actively in the project. 2 years after the inauguration of Emily's place, the family received an unexpected visit. It was a young woman, about 25 years old, accompanied by a little girl. "Excuse me," she said, approaching Michael in the garden of the house. "My name is Rachel, and this is my daughter, Hannah. I was raised in an orphanage here in the city, and I heard about your work." "Hi, Rachel. How can I help you?" "It's just, I would like to volunteer. I know what it's like to grow up without a family, and I want to help other children who are going through the same situation I went through." Lily, who was playing with Hannah, approached. "Daddy, Hannah said her mom grew up in an orphanage and that now they have a family, just the two of them." "That's true," confirmed Rachel, "but now we want to share our love with other children." Michael smiled, seeing how the project had spread beyond what they had imagined. "Rachel, it would be an honor to have you in our volunteer family." Margaret, who had come closer to meet the newcomers, had an idea. "Rachel, do you have a profession?" "I'm a child psychologist. I work at a private practice, but I've always dreamed of working with underprivileged children. How about coming to work with us? We could create a psychological support department at Emily's place." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "You would do that?" "Of course," replied Michael. "Our mission is to help children, and you can help us do that even better." Hannah, who was the same age as Lily when she met Michael, hid shyly behind her mother. "Hi, Hannah," said Lily, crouching down to the girl's level. "Do you want to meet the dogs at the place?" The girl nodded, and the two ran off to the kennel. "Your daughter is special," observed Rachel, watching Lily introduce the dogs to Hannah with patience and affection. "She is our inspiration," replied Margaret. "Everything we do here was her idea." Rachel was hired and became a key part of Emily's place. She developed emotional support programs for the visiting children and also for the volunteer families. Hannah and Lily became best friends, and Rachel gradually integrated into the large family that had formed around the project. Lily, now 9 years old, continued to surprise everyone with her maturity and sensitivity. She had become a bridge between the visiting children and the volunteer families, always knowing how to introduce them to each other in the most harmonious way possible. "Lily," said Michael one evening while she was doing her homework, "have you thought about what you want to be when you grow up?" "Yes, Daddy, I want to be many things." "Many things? I want to be a veterinarian, like I always wanted. But I also want to be a psychologist like Aunt Rachel, to help sad children. And I want to be a business person like you to create more projects like Emily's Place. And I want to be a seamstress like Grandma, to make pretty clothes for those who don't have any. Michael laughed, hugging his daughter. You can be all those things, little one. A person can have many talents. And Daddy, have you thought about having more children? The question took Michael by surprise. Why are you asking that? Because I think it would be nice to have a little brother or sister, and you would be a very good dad again. Lily, for me to have another child, I would need to get married again. And you don't want to get married? Michael thought about the question. In recent years, he had focused so much on making up for lost time with Lily and on building the new family that he had never thought about romance. I don't know, little one. For now, I'm very happy with our family just the way it is. But if one day you meet someone nice, I won't be jealous, I promise. Michael smiled and kissed his daughter's forehead. Thank you for giving me permission, my daughter. But now enough talk, and let's finish this homework. A few weeks later, during an event at Emily's Place, Lily saw Michael talking to Jennifer Wilson, a new volunteer who had joined the project. Jennifer was a pediatrician, 35 years old, divorced, and had no children. Lily watched how the two talked naturally and how Jennifer smiled when Michael spoke. She also noticed how Michael seemed more relaxed and happy in her company. With her typical spontaneity, Lily approached the two. Aunt Jennifer, do you have a boyfriend? Lily, scolded Michael, embarrassed. No, Lily, I don't, replied Jennifer, amused by the girl's direct question. And do you want to have one? Lily, you can't go around asking people these things. It's okay, Michael, interrupted Jennifer. Lily, why are you asking that? Because I think you and my dad would be a good match. You both like helping children, you're both smart, and you both look nice when you smile. Michael blushed with embarrassment, but Jennifer laughed. Lily, you're a born matchmaker. But these things don't work that way. People need to get to know each other better before thinking about dating. Then why don't you get to know each other better? You could go out to dinner. Lily, that's enough, said Michael, even more embarrassed. No, Daddy. Aunt Jennifer needs to know that you're really nice, that you cook well, that you take very good care of me and Grandma, and that you never forget to give the dogs affection. Jennifer looked at Michael with a smile. Really? You cook well? A little, he replied, still embarrassed. So maybe one day you could make dinner for me, too. You'd accept? Asked Lily, excited. Yes, I would. But now let's go help the other children. They're waiting for us. Lily ran off to tell Margaret about the conversation, leaving Michael and Jennifer alone. I'm sorry about my daughter. She can sometimes be very direct. No need to apologize. She's delightful. And honestly, it's been a while since anyone complimented me so much, joked Jennifer. She just wants me to be happy, thinks I need a partner. And you, what do you think? Michael thought for a moment. I think I've been very happy with the family we've built. But maybe she's right. Maybe I'm ready to meet someone special. Well, if you decide you're ready, you know where to find me, said Jennifer with a smile, before walking away to help the children. That evening, Lily bombarded Margaret with questions about Jennifer. Grandma, do you think Aunt Jennifer would be a good stepmother for me? Lily, calm down. Your father barely knows her. But they talked a lot today, and I saw that they liked each other. And if they really like each other, things will happen naturally, no need to push. But what if they're too shy and never confess? Margaret laughed at her granddaughter's concern. Lily, your father is a grown and intelligent man. If he wants to date Jennifer, he'll know how to do it. But we can help a little, right, Grandma? Lily, just a little. We can invite her to dinner here at home. Margaret had to admit the idea wasn't bad. Jennifer seemed like a nice person, and Michael really deserved to be happy. All right, but no exaggerations, okay? I promise, Grandma. The following weekend, Margaret casually ran into Jennifer at Emily's Place and extended the invitation. Jennifer, how about coming over for dinner tomorrow? I'm making a feijoada and I love having guests. How kind of you, Mrs. Wilson, but I don't want to be any trouble. No trouble at all. Michael will be there, Lily obviously, And maybe Lily's other grandparents will come too. It will be a family dinner. Jennifer accepted the invitation, and Lily was thrilled when she found out. Grandma, what are we going to talk about at dinner? We'll talk naturally, Lily. About Emily's place, about work, about life. What if there's an awkward silence? There won't be. Jennifer is an easy person to talk to. On Sunday, Jennifer arrived promptly at 6 in the evening, bringing flowers for Margaret and a children's book about veterinary medicine for Lily. "What a beautiful book," exclaimed Lily. "Thank you, Aunt Jennifer. I saw it in a bookstore and remembered you want to be a veterinarian." Michael, who was in the kitchen finishing up the caipirinha, came over to greet Jennifer. "Welcome to our home. Thank you for having me. Your home is lovely. Would you like me to show you the garden while the feijoada finishes cooking?" offered Michael. "I'd love that." Lily followed the two of them to the garden, playing the role of tour guide. "Aunt Jennifer, this is where the dogs play, and over there is where Grandma grows herbs to season the food, and way back there is where Daddy is building a treehouse for me." "Wow, what a complete garden." "And when will this treehouse be ready?" "In a few weeks," replied Michael. "Lily asked me months ago, and I finally found time to do it." "Daddy works a lot, but he always makes time for the important things," said Lily, pride in her voice. During dinner, the conversation flowed naturally. Barbara and William also came, and Jennifer fit perfectly into the family dynamic. She talked about her work in pediatrics, about her involvement in social projects before she learned about Emily's place, and about her family. "Jennifer," asked Barbara, "do you have any siblings?" "I have a younger sister who lives in Chicago. She's married and has 2 small children." "And you never wanted to have children?" asked Margaret. Michael got a little tense at the direct question, but Jennifer answered naturally. "I always wanted to. I was married for 5 years, and we tried to have children, but we couldn't. When we separated, I kind of put that dream on standby." "And now," insisted Lily, "now I think if God wants me to have children, it will happen at the right time in the right way." After dinner, while Margaret and Barbara washed the dishes, refusing any help, and William watched television with Lily, Michael and Jennifer were left alone on the porch. "Thank you for coming. It was really good to have you here. Thank you for the invitation. You have a beautiful family, Michael. It wasn't always like this. It took time to build this harmony." Lily told me a bit of your story, about you finding her again after all those years. "It was the best day of my life," said Michael, looking inside the house where Lily was laughing at something her grandfather had said. "She loves you very much. She talks about you with such immense pride. And I love her more than anything in this world. She and Margaret are everything I have. And you don't want to expand that family?" Michael looked at Jennifer, trying to understand if she was referring to relationships or just to Emily's place. "Are you talking about more social projects or other things?" Jennifer smiled. "I'm talking about other things. I'm asking if you've ever thought about dating someone, getting married again." "Honestly, until a few months ago, I didn't even think about it. I was so focused on making up for lost time with Lily. And now? Now I think Lily is right. Maybe I'm ready to meet someone special." "And what kind of person would be special for you?" Michael thought for a moment. "Someone who understands that Lily will always be the priority in my life. Someone who gets along with her and with Margaret. Someone who shares the same values, who likes to help others. And someone who cooks well," joked Jennifer. "That would be a bonus," laughed Michael. "And you? What kind of person would be special for you?" "Someone who is a good father, even if the children aren't biological. Someone with character, who is affectionate, who accepts me for who I am." "And someone who builds tree houses," joked Michael. "That would be a bonus," answered Jennifer, repeating his words. The two looked at each other for a moment, each realizing the conversation had taken a more serious and intimate turn. "Jennifer," Michael began, "I would really like to take you out to dinner, at a restaurant, just the two of us." "I would love that, Michael. How about next Friday?" "Perfect." At that moment, Lily appeared on the porch. "What are you two talking about?" she asked, with typical childlike curiosity. "About dinners," answered Jennifer, winking at Michael. "What kind of dinners?" "Special dinners," said Michael, Lily looked from one to the other and smiled. I knew you two would like each other. End of story.